Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals publish to inform their consumers, to grow their practices, and to leave a legacy. We're doing a series of spotlights on remarkable attorneys from across the country and even in your town. And in this case, with a specialty in elder law. Joining me on this segment is Meg Pauken. She's an elder law attorney based out of Cleveland, Ohio. Meg, welcome to the program.
Hi, Mark.
Meg, tell us, I know elder law is a broad subject, so I'd like to hear a little bit about what your specialties are in the spectrum and the types of clients that you specialize in helping.
So, elder law is kind of a subset of estate planning, but it also includes work for benefits. So, I traditionally will work with families to plan asset preservation so that if long-term care services are needed, an entire life savings isn't drained for that. I work with people on Medicaid applications, and I work with people towards the end of life as capacity starts to decline and other people need to take over day-to-day management of a person's affairs.
So, since this is aging is such a sensitive subject for most folks, do you find people really caught off guard with this? And like, what are, when's the right time to start planning for this?
Well, it's interesting that you say that. Over 10,000 people turn 65 every day in the United States, and that will continue through about 2028. And so we're experiencing this great graying of America. And there's a real tension between the need to plan and the natural difficulty in seeing your world narrow and giving up control. And so that's something that I deal with a lot. And I think there's a sweet spot where you can see how your life may play out. You're aware of chronic illnesses or possible outcomes, but you still have the cognitive ability to do planning. So for some people that occurs, I usually start to have these conversations with clients when they're about 70.
So, what are some of the dangers that people might not be aware of that can happen if they don't actually plan for this? And I understand putting power of attorney is like one of the most important things to do. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the dangers that could occur if they don't properly plan for this?
Yes, absolutely. And this is why seeing an elder law attorney is important as opposed to someone who just does typical estate planning. So when I evaluate documents or create documents for people, what I'm thinking about is what sorts of tools will they need to have in place to manage unexpected health crises, which happen. People have a fall, they end up in the emergency room, and things start to decline rapidly. So my goal is, and most elder law attorneys will tell you this, is we want to have tools that are really useful. So the power of attorney, for example, that you brought up, that I draft as an elder law attorney is very different than the power of attorney that a routine estate planning attorney might draft. I want to give powers that will allow them to plan for asset transfer if we need to be applying for Medicaid, for protection for a spouse, for management of assets and end of life planning. So there's a little difference in the kinds of documents that I draft.
When you meet with folks and they come to reach out to you for the first time, what are some of the most common, like big questions that they ask you?
You know, very often they're focused on after a person has passed away, like how will assets be divided then? And so I often bring them back to the present and say, if something happened tomorrow and you were incapacitated but not deceased, do you have a plan in place to deal with that? And I think that's where one of the biggest misconceptions is. I always tell people, we plan for 3 phases. We plan for now. What do you need today to help you? What do you need if you're incapacitated but not deceased? And then after you pass away, what do we need? And so people forget about that middle zone of incapacity. People don't want to think about that.
Since it is such a sensitive subject, what do you recommend? Do you have any techniques that you recommend to like start this conversation? It's so important within families. Oh, and a subset of that question, should they be talking to an elder law attorney, estate planning attorney, like separately, or can they do both with one counsel?
Most elder law attorneys are very well equipped to do estate planning. If you are a very high net worth individual, you may want to deal with a combination of the two. Some elder law attorneys have sufficient training to deal with high net worth individuals who may be dealing with estate tax issues and to do that kind of planning in addition to elder law planning. Some don't. So if your estate is likely to be taxable, right now that's 11.5 million, then there might be some additional information you'd want to get or some additional advice. Having that conversation is interesting. Oftentimes, as an outsider to the family, I can ask really blunt questions of dad that children can't. I can look at the client across the table and say, how will you know when it's time to stop driving? As opposed to the children saying, Dad, give us your keys. There's a difference.
Yeah, so it's actually getting them in the door to open the conversation, perhaps under the estate planning banner, and then entering the whole conversation.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Meg, you're a wealth of knowledge. What inspired you to specialize in elder law? How did you get started?
Well, I always had done some estate planning as part of a family law litigation practice that I had because it was a service that I needed to give to my clients after they were divorced. And then I walked with my parents through the end of their lives. And my dad had been the caregiver for my mom who had dementia. And then he started to decline. And so watching them go through this and, seeing someone who had been a very independent, strong, patriarch of the family, then begin to lose his own abilities really opened my eyes to a lot of the pitfalls that are out there if you haven't done planning and you don't have tools in place. And I determined that I really like working with old people. So I like the stories. I like to talk to them. So
Meg, so before I ask you my last question, is there anything I didn't think to ask you as it relates to elder law that you feel is important to share with the audience today and maybe get them inspired into having this conversation and really preparing and so they're not caught off guard?
I think that one of the key things is looking at that golden window of opportunity. When someone first gets a diagnosis of something like Parkinson's disease or early onset Alzheimer's, you've got a window where you can still do really effective planning, but it shuts quickly. And so you need to act quickly and do that. And the second piece of advice I would offer is that for families who are having a difficult time broaching these conversations, there's a nonprofit called the Conversation Project. If you Google it, you can find it. They have all sorts of sample scripts and journals and conversation topics to help open the door for those conversations. So I think that's a really useful source of information.
Oh, that's a sage tip right there. That had to exist. That's fantastic. Meg, for folks listening and they're in the Cleveland, Ohio area that could use your help, certainly, how can they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
So my website is paukenlegal.com, and I have a contact page on my website, which you can book an appointment right from there. And for those who are listening, it's PAUKEN. Legal. I'm in the east side suburbs of Cleveland. My phone number is 440-468-0003. And I'm pretty easily found on Google too, if you just Google Meg Pauken.
Meg, this has been terrific. And I appreciate you taking the time to share with my audience and share your helpful insights with me. I really wish you the best and continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thank you so much, Mark. I love what I do.
Elder law attorney Meg Pauken. And this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals publish to inform their consumers, to grow their practices, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.